Hi friends, I wanted to answer a pretty simple logistical question today that we actually get a lot. And it's this: should I pay an editor by the hour or should I pay the editor a flat fee for a project? Now, different editors prefer both ways. Both are totally legitimate. Some people even pay per word. They like to do it that way. But my personal preference is to pick a flat fee for the project and go from there. The reason why I like that is that it's very clear. When you are working by the hour, I have to say, no matter how good somebody is at estimating the number of hours it's going to take to work on your project, it's always a surprise for me anyway, until I get into the book, how much time it's going to take. I might get a little sample read and say, oh, they're pretty clean. It's not going to take that long. But I've had many times where I've thought that at the beginning of the project. And by the time I get a third of the way through the book, I'm like, whoa, this is really a much more complicated edit than I thought it was. Sometimes an edit turns into a book doctor, which is where actually I need to take things apart, put them back together, move this piece here, add some transitional material, do some writing. That happens pretty frequently, that sort of scope change can happen in the middle of a project. If you're working hourly, you just keep doing that, even if you estimated based on a basic edit. If you're working on a flat rate, you have negotiated an edit, and when you see this is actually going to turn into a doctor, you automatically need to go back to the client and say, the scope of the project has changed, so we need to renegotiate our agreement. But what I like about all of this is that it's very clear and it's very well communicated. I want you to make sure that you know the deliverables that your editor is going to be giving you prior to getting started, prior to paying anything. I personally like to list the number of edits I expect to make, what each of those edits is going to consist of in advance. Again, sometimes I get in the middle of the manuscript and surprise, something completely different is needed. And at that point, I'll come back to you and say, hey, we need to look at this again. Actually, what you need is a book doctor or even a ghostwrite. And then we'll talk about what that means and how we want to go forward. But what I don't want is to just do the work that's needed, even if it's way, way beyond the scope of the project and thus taking way longer than I originally anticipated, and then deliver you a bill that's twice as big as what I had hoped it was going to be or what you were expecting. I never, ever want people to feel surprised by their final bill. It just doesn't work for me for some reason. I don't like to be surprised. I like to know in advance. I like to budget for things. And so having that flat rate helps you to get really clear and budget in advance. No surprises, many fewer difficult conversations, and not that same sticker shock you get when you look at your bill and go, oh my gosh, that's 3 times what I thought it was going to be. Because even if it took that much time, it's still, it's hard if you didn't have that money budgeted. So that is my answer to the question. Again, editors work all sorts of ways, by the word, by the page sometimes, and by the hour. And really it also depends quite a bit on what kind of editing you're getting. I'm mostly talking about content editing. I actually do feel better about hourly rate for copy editing and proofreading, because those are much more consistent projects on the whole. By that point, your book ought to be content edited. It should flow, it should feel really good, and they're just doing technical work on it. Not always the case. God bless you copy editors out there who also do the work of content editors along the way. But for the most part, it's not as complicated or as time consuming. So it may make more sense to do an hourly rate. But when you're working on a project that's got multiple rounds, I definitely recommend getting a flat rate negotiated for a specific set of deliverables right up front. So that's my video for today. If these videos are helpful to you, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel because I do new videos every week. And my goal is really to help you get all the information and inspiration that you need in order to get your wisdom onto the page and into the world. All right, signing off for now. Happy writing, and I'll see you again soon.